Hello, I'm Steph Morrison, and I am presenting to you today in my kitchen because our theme for the month that we have developed lots of content for, got lots of great articles just for you, is on learning in the kitchen. And as most homeschooling families know, there's really lots of learning to be done in the kitchen. Even this morning, if I turned my camera around slightly and put it to my kitchen table, it's like covered with this science kit. So the boys were there doing science stuff in the kitchen, using baking soda and vinegar. That's a fun one. Tartaric acid and water and what that was doing. Anyway, there was some of this other stuff wasn't just from our cupboards, but from this science kit. But the kitchen is really a place where lots of learning can be done. So lots of learning can be done on other subjects, especially using the kitchen table. In fact, we have a learning room that's my office, and it's got another desk in there for the boys to sit at that they do sometimes. But lately, just to change it up, right? We need that little bit of change. We've actually been sitting at our kitchen table just doing the bookwork stuff, or they'll bring the laptop or the tablet and sit there, just so we can all be sitting somewhere together is usually when that happens. So lots of learning can be done in your kitchen because you're at home, and the kitchen is kind of the central point for lots of things happening in the family. But what we're going to talk about a little bit more today, and what we've got lots of articles on, is the real what kids can be learning in the kitchen from cooking and baking and cleaning. Yes, I've got my 13-year-old who is really started doing dishes regularly, and there is lots of instruction needed for that. You can't just say to them, okay, wash the dishes. Like there has been, and there's still training going on. The dishes don't always come so clean, but it's a work in progress. He's getting better every time. And I'm quite glad to have somebody else that does some of the cleaning besides me in the kitchen, especially the dishes. My dishwasher recently broke down. So that was the real, he probably could have started doing that before 13, but now we're hand washing all our dishes. So that was a great motivator for me to really teach my kids more about doing dishes in the kitchen. So one of the articles, I'm going to go through just a few of the articles that we have on there and highlight some of the high points from that. And my background gal, Christine, is going to, she'll put the links of the articles in the comments there from time to time. So you'll be able to see them. And so one thing, one of our articles is meal preps for every age. And I really love the way this was done. And Christine actually wrote this article too. So when we were talking about doing this video and some of the points we're going to talk on, she kind of let me know. I mean, I already saw the article, but just how that's really nicely broken up into each age. And I love seeing how she did that, how it was just, you've got your age, and I can't think right off, although Christine's putting that video there for you, or sorry, not the video, she's just showing her screen with that article, but you can see how that's nicely broken down, and we can have just a little bit, of expectation of what our kids are going to be doing on each of those, in each of those age groups. And you can see how that progresses each time through just doing basic chopping chopping something really small and then getting on to just more extensive things. And by the time you've got your homeschoolers or high schoolers, and even my son being 13, he's getting closer to that. Now, if I'd started really more training on him, he's been doing stuff in the kitchen for a few years. But for me, being real instructive with it and real training, it's really just been a couple years that he's doing stuff in the kitchen. So I'll get you to bring that screen back to me, Christine, and then I'm just going to show a couple of things about some of the meal prep stuff. So one of the things that we really, that our kids are learning a lot, and not just about food prep, but about manual dexterity, some of that hand-eye coordination, as well as developing motor skills. So one of the things I find I'm really teaching my kids is like, why do we use different size of knives? And why is this knife not so great for cutting carrots, but this knife is a little better? And it's all not the size that the food you're cooking is bigger, but anyway, as anybody that's in the kitchen long enough knows, you can kind of give that reason. Well, we use this bigger knife for these things because, and you can share whatever your style is. It doesn't even need to be a written down study for you to share. Just share why it's more efficient to use this tool instead of this tool. So lots of learning to be done about tools in the kitchen. One of the other things is thinking about all that you can learn with mixing and using different tools that way, and just how you can teach them different. And my husband just came home from work right in the middle of this, so I'm doing a live, honey, so try to be quiet. And how they can really get a handle on using these. Now we've got some great articles about careers in the kitchen. One of our magazines, I think it was the fall issue, had a really big section about careers, cooking careers, and that, so we could be teaching our kids right now about what they're really gonna, delve into in the future. But otherwise, we're just teaching them life skills, right? Because everybody needs to be doing well in the kitchen. So I would love you to leave a comment, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this afterward. But let us know some of the great things you've done with your kids in the kitchen and learning with them, and some of the great things you've just been, like big accomplishments that you've found with your family and doing all that kind of meal prep stuff, and how you're putting them from one stage to the next stage, and really what your kids seem to love. And you'll probably find that difference, like one child will love doing this kind of meal prep, and the other one will like a little bit more doing this. My kids get motivated. Sometimes I get them to make recipes, to make things, sometimes with my help and sometimes on their own. But there's a few recipes that they will actually ask to make on their own. Probably more so my older one, but like chocolate chip cookies, there's a recipe that we really enjoy eating that way. My son just went ahead and made this like cinnamon spread kind of thing right away. It turned out pretty decent. And so sharing some of those things where your kids get really, really into learning all that different stuff in the kitchen, but being able to see how that relates to them learning in other ways too, right? Learning to follow directions and learning to use, our different tools, and what all our measuring. Of course, we all know that math comes in really good when we're measuring and doubling recipes. And one of our articles is a lot on that, on problem solving in the kitchen. So you can see different things that way, how doubling a recipe or adjusting recipes can be used like that. So that's a really great article, that meal prep for every age. Another one I want to talk on briefly is learning about cultures in the kitchen. So I have to say, I just got a shipment of Chef's Plate, and I don't know if anybody, it's pretty popular, right? I've sometimes got some from Good Food, but this is, they pretty much ship you the whole meal. And I really love these, not just because it's sort of an easy meal, everything's already put together, the exact ingredients, but I actually really love the recipes I'm getting from it. So even me that has been in the, cooking meals for 20 plus years, sometimes I just get in this rut where it's like, oh, I just, I need something different. So I get these neat recipes. And so just this one, it happened to come today. I guess this morning it came, but here I've got a Turkish beef kofta, and I really don't know what a kofta is, but I'm going to assume this is somewhat originating in Turkey. So as I'm making this one tonight, I forget which one the choice was. We have a choice of chicken or beef, and this other one being the Thai chicken spring roll. So that being more so Thailand, Asian kind of food, right? So we can teach our kids a lot about the food we're eating from different cultures, and sometimes how that food originated there. So I think of tacos. Our family loves tacos. We've at times had the whole Taco Tuesday, and it was like every Tuesday it was doing tacos. The kids loved being a part in that. And that's actually right, like making tacos, you know, you got your grating your cheese and chopping up different kinds of vegetables, whatever you want in there. And with your lettuce and onions, and we usually put some hot peppers in there too, and just all these different ingredients that gets put in there. That's not even necessarily so how it was explained to me. Again, Christine wrote this article about learning about different cultures. So the research that she did is in fact from Mexico, because as we were talking about this, like, it is from Mexico, right? Like that's what that cultural thought, it's from Mexico. But kind of how they did it in Mexico wasn't quite the way how we know a taco today. That's a little bit different in the sense how, okay, let me see if I get this right. That how Christine explained it to me, that lots of times it was from Mexicans while they were working, they would just have wrap food and bread, because however they were situated, they weren't gonna have a plate in front of them. So it was almost like your plate, and you put some food on it, and then you can just have it in your hands and eat it all, which is great for a talk. I mean, we use plates at our table, but you can just think about how that originated and why that was important for that culture, and how that was popularized even within that culture. But now it's kind of spreads all over the world, and it changes just a little bit, right? The same with poutine, which is just quite adored in our home. Not as much by me. I do eat it once in a while. But that being a Quebecois dish, so originating in Quebec, so originating in Canada, but it is really popularized throughout the world, and even within Canada. I mean, because it's and I can't say for sure how popular it is around the world. If you know, please let me know. Put in the comments if you're in a different country and it's like, oh yeah, we know poutine is pretty popular. I'd love to know that. But definitely within Canada, you can see poutine shops everywhere, and it's not just the cheese curds and gravy. It's actually the poutine can be, have kind of any topping on fries. That's what I kind of think when you go to these poutine shops. And so now how something that started in one way, and it's adapted and changed and just shifted a little bit to the taste. So some of it is going to have to do with taste. I think of a lot of like Indian food, and a lot of people find that taste of curry, or that tastes like a real authentic Indian dish. You gotta have maybe that taste will grow on you. It certainly does for me. Not anybody else in my house really likes a lot of that curried dishes. But one of the things we really do love is naan bread. And I've actually got that I make that one regularly. I make naan bread at home. I will buy it from time to time, but I found this recipe that just makes it deliciously. And my boys love eating that, and I like the simplicity, like how sometimes they'll just eat it like bread, right? They'll put whatever they want on it, peanut butter and jam, or whatever their heart's desire at the time. But naan bread is also great we use a lot for pizza, and I also use it can be sort of in a wrap kind of way as well. So again, I actually don't know how it's used for sure in India. And again, if you know that, leave that in the comments and let us know, like how naan bread, what that real authentic Indian purpose and how it's used. I believe it's mostly used with like different kinds of dips and hummus, and but again, I don't know for sure. So set me right there and let me know in the comments about that. Just in these couple of things that I've talked about now, just about the meal prep and the learning about cultures, there's so many teaching moments in the kitchen. We've got a couple of other articles there, specifically about different things you can do, making those teachable moments. But a couple other things I wanted to highlight. So one of the things you may like in your house, like I do, is smoothies. So I love making these for the boys. And now my older one more so, because he's not afraid of the noise of the blender anymore. My younger one, my 10-year-old, doesn't really he scoots out of the kitchen as quick as he can when he hears the motors going. So that's actually something else to get our kids used to too. Just using household, the kitchen tool right? Like, so the kitchen, the ones with the motors are intimidating. Even using a hand mixer. Again, my 13-year-old can use a hand mixer. She's still a little intimidated, more so with the power of it moving in the bowl, but that's really something to get used to. Even though we think that that's just, but put it in there, mix it around, right? The sound can be intimidating, and even just the force of moving it can be intimidating. I'm still usually right there when he's using it, because I like to make sure the bowl is being held, and I don't want to see the bowl flying elsewhere. Which I've heard of happening. But these are great things that we can get our kids used to in the kitchen as they're growing up, so that when they get their own home, when they get their own family, whether they're a man or a woman, that they are really knowledgeable about everything they need to prepare meals, and more importantly, even prepare healthy meals, which is one of the reasons I like smoothies. So that link is, that recipe is, it's smoothies, shakes, and juices. Oh my. And just the difference of those and how we can get lots of that healthy stuff in there. So I usually put in here when I'm doing it. Sometimes I'll throw some avocados. Don't tell my boys, because I don't want them to know what good stuff I put in there. But it's, and sometimes some other vegetables that I'll throw in here, as well as usually some kind of milk, like a dairy milk or an almond milk, I'll throw in there. And if I have any kind of like sometimes like just nutritional boosters. Right now I have bee pollen, so sometimes I put bee pollen in there. Really intense nutrients in bee pollen. If you're not aware of how nutritious that is, go and look that up and get some bee pollen for your house. But I do that a lot. Being able to teach my boys, give them that opportunity. I do tell them when I put bee pollen in, because I've really told them, and we've looked that up a little bit, just how great that really is for our nutrition, and just that it's offered, to us from God. To me, like, those bees are doing so much for us. We get that great honey, bee propolis, and the beeswax and the bee pollen. I think the bees are just one of the most amazing animals we have. One of the other fun things, as far as in our recipes section and our family food time section, is the plastic bag ice cream. And I'm just going to leave that at that, because I want you to go check that out. Christine will put that link in there for that recipe, and see what that one's all about. I'm sure you've heard maybe ways to make ice cream. I have never heard of it as plastic bag ice cream. And this one looks like a really fun one. I have not done it with my kids. If you do it with your kids, come back to this video and comment how it was. Maybe share a picture, or share something about your experience with that and how that went for you. So I thank you so much for watching, and please comment with other ideas that you would like to see for our live videos. We are really trying to get our content on the site, really what we've heard from homeschoolers that you want to hear, as well as our content that we're doing for these videos. So put in a comment there and let us know what kind of themes you'd like us to have, what kind of topics you'd like us to focus on, and we would love to do that for a video. You all take care now, and I will see you again soon. Bye.